Welcome back, Knoxville Knights. It's Josh Gerlach. I'm here with Kate Higday, Blake Walker, and we're coming off of a pretty damn good weekend at the sprint car capital of the world. We had the USAC National Sprint cars in town alongside the Knoxville Championship Series 360s and 410s. It was the Ryan Tim show once again on both nights for the 360s and 410s. Brady Bacon got one step closer to history on Friday. And KTJ, Kevin Thomas Jr., put a beating on him on Saturday night. I do see you there, Kade. Make sure you guys hit like and subscribe on this. And also, it'll help us out if you leave us a 5-star rating and then give us a review. Talk some shit to Kade in the reviews. And follow us at Knoxville Knights on Facebook and Instagram. We're feeling spicy tonight, I guess. And Knoxville Knights with no O on Twitter or whatever, X. And then on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere you can listen to your podcasts. Gentlemen, we have a lot to talk about, so I guess we'll get right into it. Don't want to leave it out. We also have Dennis Gainey on the back end of this deal. We recorded at Knoxville. It was a lot of fun. I think we're probably going to start doing that pretty regularly. It was great conversation, so make sure you stick around and check that out. We'll dive into the weekend recap with you, Kade. No 410 this week. You were just running the 360s. You ran 14th in qualifying, 7th to 7th in your heat race. You did make the feature, so that's good. 24th to 22nd in the feature. Walk us through your night. I know you weren't the happiest about it.
Yeah, we straight up unloaded and sucked ass all night. Never once felt like I had any bit of speed. Basically, like when we left the racetrack, I said that like we should have just stayed home and just not even raced. Like we learned absolutely nothing and gained nothing from the night. And that's a really hard way to look at it. Like a lot of people would kill to make the A main, especially in that kind of a show. I mean, like look at the cars that didn't make the A main, but that's not my forte. I show up to the racetrack to win races, and when we have to run the B and don't even make the invert in the heat race, that's just not going to be good enough. And it was definitely a tough night. I was glad to just kind of have Saturday to go through the race car and kind of learn some things that we missed on Friday. And didn't even actually go to the races Saturday. Just kind of hung out and took a day off, and we worked on a race car and didn't really care about what was going on at the racetrack on Saturday. Just kind of took our time and did what I felt like we needed to do and take a rest and just kind of regroup and get myself back to where I should be mentally. And obviously, like coming into this coming weekend, I feel a lot better just having the night off and taking the time to do what we all feel is necessary and kind of regroup and try to come back better.
Absolutely. For those that didn't see or just kind of explain what happened, you were about to roll off for the 360 feature and you were sitting in staging and your tire went down. Your left rear tire went down. Just kind of went flat, and then you were awkwardly trying to get pushed back to the work area, back to your trailer. Any idea, was there signals that it was going to go down? Obviously it wasn't down from your knowledge when you left the trailer. Just went down when it was getting pushed to staging?
Yeah, I was actually sitting in staging and Prophet came up and he's like, dude, your left rear tire's flat. And I'm like, no way. So I reach out and poke it and I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, it's actually like flat. Like it's on the wheel.
Yeah.
And, he told me to push back to the trailer and we put our heat race tire on actually. So we kind of knew like what we were getting into, and I kind of knew off the bat like we weren't going to be that great. So I just kind of went out and survived the feature. And had we had that other tire on, we might have gained 4 more spots, but definitely nothing to write home about. I don't feel like it really took away from the performance of the night. I feel like we started off in as deep of a hole as you possibly could and just kind of kept ourselves there and never really gained anything throughout the entire night. And that's that's a shitty way to start and keep a night going. But that's what we did, and obviously we got to get better. And like I said, I feel like taking last night off was definitely a good look into what we need to do, and taking the extra time in that one day. I mean, that 1 day a week is huge, and a lot of people don't realize that. Everybody thinks it's easy to just maintain a race car because everybody races like 2 or 3 nights a week anymore, and it's really not that easy, especially when you're struggling as hard as we have. Like you're kind of nitpicking everything that you do, and kind of trying to figure out what you're messing up and what you can do to be better. And yeah, I feel like that extra day, I kind of spent the day at the shop with my wife, and we had a couple crew guys down there, and just kind of went through everything and kind of figured out. I won't say figured out because we won't know until the coming weekend. But I feel like we're in a much better place of where we should be, and I hope that we can qualify good and at least get a good start to the night and get everybody's morale back up and kind of get things started off on the right foot.
I know you're not a moral victory guy. However,
No.
there was 45 cars, and you had at least a handful of like top level, even some national tour or guys that have been like super regional, I guess, if you will. And I was talking with your wife, Maggie. I don't remember if it was last weekend or the weekend before, but it's not like you have a lot of time throughout the week either, because you're, like we've talked about before with Kaleb, you're a working dude. What does your week kind of look like, and how much time do you actually get? And then you're racing a day earlier, so like you were saying, you lose a day to really prepare when you're struggling, like you kind of have been. You're not set up for the best situation there when you're losing that extra day.
Yeah, my week is honestly a shit show. I work an hour from home every day, and I normally don't get home till 6 o'clock every night. And I still have my lawn mowing stuff on the side. I've got that down to 1 night a week, so I can basically waste 1 day on that, and the rest of the days are days that we try to maintain and do tires and try to get everything ready for the next weekend. It's just basically me and my dad that do all this race car shit together. It's kind of hard to split that between 2 people, and he drives from Des Moines to Pella every week and does it 4 or 5 days a week, and I know that wears on him, and we kind of wear on each other. I'm sure Josh saw it this weekend. We kind of had a little snafu, and I feel like that's what it takes. Everything comes to a boiling point, and like we're both very competitive. He wants the best for me, and I want the best for my team, and at some point when things aren't going right, somebody's going to blame the other person. I don't really feel like it was taken to heart. It's just hard. What nobody ever understands is this shit is not easy. I've raced with my dad for years, and I feel like he's the hardest guy to race with. It's just we have that relationship that we're both expecting things from each other, and I'm sure if you talk to AMAC or people like that race with their dad, I know Jack will tell you firsthand. If you race with your dad, it's the hardest thing in the world to do, and not have any conflict at all. And I feel like we just got to get better and get back to the shape that we were in last year. We're just kind of off in qualifying and off in the heat race, and we've been decent in the feature except for this past weekend. But I feel like if we get qualifying decent and get back into like our heat race, kind of drive through the field, we'll be way better than we have been all year.
All right. Well, hope for the best. 10th in points based off this past weekend. So again, we'll just keep rolling along. We'll get back to our normal regular scheduled programming. Do you like having hot laps this week?
Oh, it was nice.
I like it. I always like hot laps. So that was fun to get it done. Let's talk track state, Kade. 360 kind of looked like 410. Talk about the track state that you guys got on Friday night, and how did USAC running before kind of affect things?
Friday night, I don't really feel like it affected much. I mean, it kind of burned it off more than I expected. I mean, we rolled out and it was slick as shit, and it was up to the fence like you would
Got
expect
wide
that.
quick.
Yeah, and you would expect that with the USAC race at Knoxville. I mean, it's always up on the fence, usually a big curb, and it wasn't really a super tall, nasty, aggressive curb. And then you kind of got to last night, and it was like I was texting Blake before the USAC race, and he was like, "Do you think it's going to be bottom dominant?" And I'm like, "No, dude. Like, it's kind of going to be the same story as last night." And then the USAC race started, and within 5 laps, it was like all these guys were blowing the bottom off and blowing the shit up to the middle, and it was just like, okay, it went from the same track as last night. In the matter of 5 laps, it went to bottom to middle dominant, and then you have Tim's that just says, "Hell with it. I'm going to put my balls out the side of the race car and just run the fence and just absolutely send it."
Yeah, it was good. You think they should have kicked the cushion down last night?
I don't think so. They should have left it a little bit more gnarly, and I honestly don't think it was really that gnarly. I don't know. Obviously, I don't feel like the Duncans would make that decision without somebody bitching about it. But I don't know who exactly was. Like I said, I wasn't even there. I was watching on Dirt Vision like a normal pud.
I mean, it was peeling up a little bit.
Cushion. I mean, it was.
Yeah,
you were gonna be on a hill.
I talked to a car owner down there, and he said that, I have raced on worse when I drove in the past, and didn't think that it was necessary, but it's not his decision, of course. And I did see on Friday night, Tony Rost, he had a hell of a moment and I think it was the feature, and Ayrton Geniton did the same damn thing in turn 4 in the B. I think I saw the entire bottom of his car, and then he was on the bottom the next lap, if that tells you how gnarly it was getting there. But I mean, I'm not racing, so I can say whatever I want, but I was a little disappointed. I like when it's a little cowboy up, because if anything, you would think that they would knock it down for the non-wing guys, because if you bang you could go for a hell of a ride if you, catch a big curb wrong. Either way, I don't think it really affected the quality of racing all that much. We had great tracks both nights, I thought, and no rubber, so it was all good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and honestly, like, it wasn't really like I didn't really run it that much because I sucked all weekend, but I feel like it wasn't really that nasty of a curb. Like we've seen gnarlier curbs with just wing cars this year, and I don't know why they rolled it down last night. Like it wasn't any taller than it was on Friday. I don't feel like, but I mean, you got certain people in the pits, and certain people are going to bitch about certain things, and all of a sudden the push truck's on the racetrack.
Race car drivers complaining, Kade. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, that's why I just don't. I try not to talk to Chris Duncan because I don't want to be one of those guys that bitches all the time.
Yeah.
We had a great week of racing for USAC.
For sure.
Friday night was way better than Saturday. Saturday was just Kevin Thomas Jr. just kicked the field's butt. That's really what it came down to. And what was crazy was, the first night, all green. I mean, I don't think we had a caution. Just really well put together race by Kyle Stockton, and Brady Bacon was able to come away with the win. But it just proves that, Josh has it in the notes. Knoxville's not a non-wing track. It's not. It's a wingless, or it's a wing track. People say the same thing. Late models come here. It's not a late model track, but late models do come here. And I'll tie it into our last thing. If you haven't checked it out, Knoxville Raceway put out a poll on Twitter asking for fan feedback about the weekend. Did they enjoy the weekend? Did they like USAC and everything else? And then the second question was, if Knoxville were to get a Silver Crown race, how much would you pay a ticket? And I think the range went from 60, 55, 55, 50, 45, whatever, on the way down. That's good news. That is, if you're a guy that is going into this week or finished this week and you're like, man, I really like that, that means that, quietly and maybe possibly behind the scenes, slowly but surely, things are trying to work into motion to try to get Knoxville a Silver Crown race once again. It's been many, many, many years. And it's, we talk about it with Dennis, so I don't want to spoil it too much, but 100 laps, throw it during the day. I think it would just be phenomenal. And this week proved, guys. I mean, they can put on good shows here at Knoxville.
Yeah, I mean, I just checked it now. So what is it? We're recording just shy of 9 p.m. here on Sunday. There's been almost 775 votes, and it's 90-10 for heck yes. So
Yep. What about
who knows?
the price one? I was just curious about that one.
It looks like it was between 50 and then kind of went down in about $5 ranges from there.
Yeah.
I hadn't voted on that yet, so we'll see. Looks like it's kind of in the middle, around anywhere between 30 and $40, so about the typical national touring series.
Does anybody? We wouldn't know, but does anybody know what the Outlaws tickets are usually? Like
I think it's usually in the 35 to 40 range.
Yeah. I mean, roughly the same. People are thinking about the same, but
yep.
Nationals are about $60. Silver Crown isn't a Nationals, obviously, but it's a pretty big deal for those that don't know. And many people voting on that might not quite understand the magnitude of a Silver Crown race. But
and we won't debate it here, but well before our times, the non-wing stuff, those are to some people still sprint cars, not non-wing sprint cars.
Yeah.
So
410 wingless sprint cars. That's really what it says.
What we race every week now is the wing.
Right? If we get a Silver Crown, you're going to race 100 laps, right?
No, dude. I will die on the hill that the dudes that drive non-wing at Knoxville still have bigger balls than anybody in the world.
When it never fails to amaze me when they got going for those first hot laps, how sideways they are going into the corner, how much you just hear them back off the engine and just let it coast, and just the patience. And then when it got late in that feature and they have to get up on the berm and they're bouncing and everything else, one dude in qualifying's left front tire didn't even touch the ground the whole qualifying lap. His setup was so wank, but it's awesome. I enjoy it. It was a lot of fun. It was good to see Brian Holbert back. Drake York, all of them at Flow Racing do such a good job. And
shout out, not just guys, the Kayla Roll. She took a hell of a ride on Friday night, and she came right back. And it sounds like she's a wrestler too. So she sounds like she's one bad chick too. So shout out. I couldn't do it.
I don't think I could either.
Yeah, it's something watching them come down the straightaways and just sail it off in there. It's very impressive.
So I'll swing back. We have our general topics that we're talking about, Josh. We might as well just jump right into USAC since we're kind of already talking about it. So let's just go with it. Friday night, new track record set by CJ Leary, an 18.442. Very, very fast. CJ was right there. Someone broke it first. I can't remember who it was. But then Larry was able to go back and get it. That's a fast lap, boys. They were ripping. And then, it's crazy. It wasn't even cool. It was a very nice weekend besides that smoke from the wildfires.
He was almost 3/10 quicker than third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had wind at his back going down the front straightaway. I don't know how much that matters, obviously, in a wingless, but really, really interesting. We talked about Kayla's wreck. So good to see her get out. Just violent, man. We'll talk about it with the Brady Bacon wreck and CJ, but man, it's like a mousetrap when they wreck. Like whenever you stick your finger in a mousetrap and it just goes.
They're never small.
Like that. Yeah.
Everything's big there.
It's unbelievable. Every single wreck this week made it on the work area Twitter account. And when it makes it on the work area Twitter account, it means it's a big wreck. So that's all you need to know. It was a good battle. Top 3 late. Kyle Stockin, man, out of nowhere.
Chase.
Chase Stockin.
Chase Stockin, excuse me. Sorry, Chase. Chase Stockin. I love on his helmet, it says Stockton, but the T is crossed out.
I saw that.
I didn't notice that.
But Chase Stockin, really good race. I mean, and Kade, it was one of those things you hate to be the leader because Brady just kept searching and searching. I think, Josh, you even texted me and you thought it from the point, and I was kind of with you. Brady might have just been waiting. And finally Brady got around him, and the Macho Man is added on to 61 career USAC victories. He is now 1 away from tying the all-time record. But Kade, he was just patient, and it worked out in the end for Brady.
Yeah, and I feel like Brady's not really a guy like every time it gets really like tall, curved up. I don't feel like that's really Brady's forte, and this weekend just kind of suited him, and obviously he crashed on Saturday, but I feel like
wasn't patient. That was the weird thing, and I know we'll get to it. So keep going, Kade. Yeah,
but I mean that whole race was just Brady being more patient than Chase, and I don't know if I don't know if Chase kind of burned his tires up or what. I'm not a non-wing guy. I'll never claim to be. I've never raced a non-wing sprint car, so I don't know like the whole race strategy of that kind of thing. But like looking at it from a wing guy, it kind of seemed like Chase kind of uses stuff up and Brady just really didn't. And Brady's always been really good at Knoxville, and especially when it's not a tall curb kind of thing. And yeah, Brady just was patient and kind of sealed the deal up and just kind of proved why he's one of the best in a non-wing sprint car. And it was super cool to watch. Brady's obviously been one of the best for the past, 10, 15 years. And it doesn't really seem to matter what car he's in. He just keeps proving why he's one of the elite drivers of that series for sure.
He's a future Hall of Famer. Easily.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Briggs Danner, dude, that was a great battle in the top three. Like, I thought there was a couple times there that if Briggs could have just cleared Brady and ran away, like he may have been able to hold him off.
Lap traffic was what made that race.
Yeah.
Like racing through lap traffic.
This was a fantastic race.
Yeah, and if you're thinking in your mind and you heard us say 100 laps Silver Crown, you're like 100 laps of that. That's what it is for 100 laps. It is like, because a lot of times those things go green for at least 40 to 50 laps. It's just that. You're just like lap traffic, lap traffic, lap traffic. And the track is just insane by the end of it. I mean, there's nothing left. And it's just, you're just searching for something. So that's why. I mean, it'd just be really cool. But yeah, shout out Briggs Danner, really good run. Talked about it. Brady Bacon moves to 61 career wins. Very good run for Brady. It wasn't really his week in a 410. Just didn't quite work out for him. I don't know where he's at tonight at Huset's, but really cool for Brady still to pick up that win. I love his celebration with his daughter in Victory Lane, the Macho Man celebration. That is so cool. And then Kaleb Drake goes 15-6. So really good run for Kaleb Drake. He was our hard charger on the night. We move on to Saturday. Track was pretty much the same. It was a little bit warmer. The feature had a scary wreck. Brady Bacon and CJ Leary. So you got your winner and your quick timer or your track record holder from this week. If you saw the Rico Abreu and Kerry Madsen wreck from a couple weeks ago, if you saw the Sam Haferteep Jr. and Scott Boguski wreck, that is exactly what happened. The problem is that in a wingless, those things just jump. And Brady Bacon had a nose inside of CJ Leary, and it's lap 2, and nobody lifted. And unfortunately for Brady Bacon and CJ Leary, they both tumble violently to the outside wall. I think one of them caught the wall. Kade, we talk about it all the time. You know, there's a lot of give and a lot of take in sprint car racing. Ryan Giles told us about it a couple weeks ago when he was like, I got kids at home, man. You know, I can't force that issue that time. Brady Bacon and CJ Leary said it's lap 2. Track position's very key. They knew that, and none of them lifted.
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of reminded me of the incident that I had with Booback last year at the 360 shootout. It was very similar.
That's a good point.
I feel like the inside car had more of a run than Booback had on me. Like, I feel like maybe they saw them sooner and just kind of didn't really care. But yeah, that was still a huge hit and very lucky that both guys walked out of that thing unscathed. That was 2 really, really, really big flips. And honestly, like watching it on Dirt Vision, I was scared that maybe somebody got hurt or somebody died. Like that was a huge series of flips for both cars. And that's super scary to see, especially when you're at one of the fastest parts of the racetrack at Knoxville. We've seen it time and time again. People get hurt there all the time, and it's just never ends well. And like I said, they got lucky that nobody was hurt, and they all made it home and lived to race another day. And because Brady was on the inside and CJ was That's
on the outside.
That's what I thought. I didn't want to say that and say the wrong thing.
Yeah. And it wasn't like your typical, somebody gets a good run, jumps a tire and goes for the ride. Like, he got in there, and I almost just wonder if CJ didn't see him or something. because CJ's left rear actually went over Brady's right front, and he kind of did a somersault over him. So it's like it's one of those weird kind of flips like that.
I think CJ. I was going to mention this. I didn't call any of the USAC races all week, but CJ has the open cockpit on the left side, and he has a white fire suit. It is so cool to see in the corner when he's turning that thing. Like I love open cockpit sprint cars. I just love that because I love seeing the hands. I know like most of the time, Kade, you'd say a closed one's probably safer, a little bit safer, nothing like concrete, but overall I just really like that for CJ. And if you want to know how hard these guys have turned it, I mean, he is just wheeling it. But yeah, it's a tough break for those two guys. CJ is just on and off. He wasn't too happy with Friday night, just didn't have the speed that they thought they would have based off what they did in quick time. But yeah, it was just a tough break for both of those guys, and they'll move on here as the season continues to roll.
And Brady's tail tank flew off too. Like that was the first one that I have personally seen in a while.
I mean, lap 2, very lucky that thing didn't go. So that was very interesting.
Yeah, the thing that people also have to realize is like we all wear a head and neck restraint. It's not like you're not an owl. You can't turn your head around backwards and see what's coming behind you. If you could, it'd be badass.
I wish I could on iRacing half the time.
Yeah,
a lot of it's just all by sound, right, Kade?
Yeah, exactly. And you, in instances like that, you can't really see anything until it's too late because, like I said, you're not an owl. You can't turn your head around backwards. And basically, like the way that I think about it is, if you try to look off your left shoulder or your right shoulder, like if you cut that in half, that's about what you can see with a head and neck restraint. And a lot of people don't understand that. Like they think that visibility is just 100% all the time, and it's really not.
It's a wide open cockpit, right?
Yeah,
You got a helmet on.
You got all this room to look, but nobody realizes that.
What gets people is like drivers will put GoPros on their helmet, and you can see a lot, and everyone's like, "Whoa, you can see," and it's like,
and it's all backed out to like 0.5.
Right. So I mean, it's interesting, but
and at 100 to 140 miles an hour on top of it.
Absolutely.
That is one thing that I'll say, and I'll die on the hill of. Nobody understands how hard driving a sprint car, wing or non-wing, nobody understands how hard it is until you actually do it, and you're like, holy shit, this stuff's happening really fast.
I said it to Garrett first episode. I legit meant it when I asked him. I'm like, dude, you're flying into a corner you probably have never raced in.
Yep.
How in the world do you do it? Like and he said, you just got to have faith the car will stick, and it'll stick, but you just got to have faith it'll stick. So yeah, really cool. Brady Bacon just put it in the feature, by the way, for those keep track at home. He was in the B main, so Brady's on to the A main. Congrats to Brady. Justin Grant and Jake Swanson. Jake Swanson, two guys who have won here in the last 3 years. Jake Swanson won it a couple of years ago over Brady Bacon on the last lap pass, and then Justin Grant won last year. Good speed early. Jake Swanson had a great jump on the start, but man, they just faded. And that happens in sprint car racing always, but really weird for those guys. And not a bad week by any means, but definitely not great by any means.
Yeah, JG never threatened either. Like that kind of surprised me. Like I think he did actually lead a little bit on Saturday, but he just never felt like he was in control. And like you said, and also then on Friday, he faded way back. I think he almost was outside the top 10 and did recover and had pretty good points nights, I would say. But yeah, for a guy that has shown that he can be pretty damn good at Knoxville, it was a little surprising. And I think I may have picked him last week. So yeah, it was a little, caught me a little bit off guard, but yeah.
My pick is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So really, it's a tough break for those two guys, but again, have shown speed everywhere. I'd be curious what the points are now, because obviously we'll talk about Kyle Cummins in a second, but Cummins did not have a good Friday night. So
no. Wasn't having a great Saturday night either, but
no, he wasn't. We'll get to that in a second. Cale Drake and Robert Blue get together. First of all, did y'all see Robert Blue's move into turn 3 and 4 on the last lap of Friday night? I mean, I don't know if it was even on the broadcast, but this dude sent it from like 18,000 yards back, and he smoked the berm, got up on like 3 or on 1 wheel, landed back down. Everybody else had to check up, and he got away.
It sounds like Kale Drake ramping up over him out of 2.
Yeah. Kale Drake had contact with Robert Blue, got up over him, and after they spun, because everyone, from our perspective, was like, why we call caution? Like, I didn't even think they spun. I thought they just slowed down. And Robert Blue said, all right. And he just ran into the back of him on the back straightaway. And I'd be very curious. Was Blue's left front broken in the wreck, or did he break it when he hit the back of Kale Drake on the back straightaway? Because he was not happy. They barely got it fixed in the work area. He was just yelling at his crew, trying to get him to fix it. I don't know if Blue's going to get a fine out of that. There was talkings of that up in the booth because it's unintentional intentional contact. It was kind of fun to watch Blue go back up to the field. I will say that. Like, he was the only one on the top. Everybody else was on the bottom. Robert just kept saying, "Oh, I'll just go around the top." Robert Blue's a wheel man, Kade, and that's just Robert Blue, man. You get that with Robert, and Kale was just on the wrong end of it there.
Yeah, I don't know if Kale was on the wrong end of it. I mean, if I remember right, Kale kind of shoved it in on Robert coming off of 2 and just straight up like drove clear the hell through him, and
he was 4 wheels in the air.
Yeah,
yeah.
And like after watching that, I really don't blame Robert. Like, I'm not the biggest Robert fan. I love the way he drives. Like, he's got the biggest ball sack of any of those non-wing guys. Like, the dude just straight up does not give a shit.
Way too much balls on this show, and we're not even 31 minutes in.
That dude has the biggest balls of anybody in the non-wing car. I will promise you that. Like, he ran qualifying Friday night wide open, and I was like, what the hell is this guy doing? Like, it wasn't that fast, but it was just insane that he had the courage to just run wide open at Knoxville with no wing on. Like, nobody else did that. But yeah, I feel like Robert definitely had the right to be pissed off about that, and everybody should be. I mean, you're racing for position there, and he kind of just got ran completely out of room. Do I agree with totally driving through somebody's back bumper under yellow? Probably not, but
no.
I can't say I've never done it, and I can't say I won't do it again if the circumstances are like that. I understand his frustration, but yeah, it definitely was good fireworks for TV, for sure.
It really was. Kevin Thomas Jr. gets away with the victory. First win of the season for Kevin Thomas Jr., first since last year. Ryan Bernal finishes good runs for him. Justin Grant was also up there. Kyle Cummins goes 18 to third. Clearly was not a good night for him on Friday night, but they figured something out, and that Pella machine was unbelievably fast. You could see why he's the points leader. I'm sure he would have loved to break through and grab his first win at Knoxville, but that's what you want out of a points leader, a guy that shows up. Yes, they were off on Friday night. They come back and run well on Saturday, so happy for Kyle. I just wanted to throw this out there. Jacob Ingle had a tweet that after the races, this little girl went up and was chatting with Justin Grant, and she was crying because she wanted to see Ryan Bernal as well. And Justin Grant pulled her aside and FaceTimed Ryan Bernal. And
that's awesome.
Ryan Bernal had already taken off, and he FaceTimed her, or he FaceTimed him for her. And Jacob Ingle tweeted that because they're kind of near him for Jamie Ball's crew. But that was really cool. Like, that shows you a kind of person that Justin Grant is. I know some people like him, some people don't like him, but that was really cool. And I'm glad Jacob tweeted that because that's what it's all about, man. That's really cool. Ryan Bernal's a wheel man. I mean, that he is very good. Fun to watch him. But any final thoughts, boys, on USAC? Come and gone here at the Knoxville Raceway, but good week for the Avanti Windows and Doors Corn Belt Clash.
It was fun. I enjoyed watching it. You know, Friday nights are always hit and miss crowd wise, but it looked like there's a good crowd on Saturday night too. It's good seeing everybody come out. The racing spoke for itself. So, you know, especially if
great crowd.
Yeah, if we ever do get a Silver Crown race, come out and support it because it's not only good for the track, but Kade, I know you love racing in front of a packed house. Like it means a lot to everybody that's involved.
Yeah, it's huge. And to kind of piggyback off of your ball comment, Blake, I feel like people kind of shit on the non-wing guys for coming to Knoxville, and they're like, oh, these guys aren't setting fast times and blah, 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 blah. Like, people don't realize what it takes to actually run a non-wing car at a half mile, especially in Knoxville when it gets like it was this weekend. Like, I talk about having a sack to run a curb, and there's no way that I could ever do what these guys are doing with no wing on. And I feel like a lot of wing guys that race at Knoxville could kind of agree with that. And yeah, I feel like I'm kind of beating a dead horse saying that these guys have huge nuts, but it's insane.
You've mentioned it a couple times.
Describe it. Oh my God. Need a counter in the top right-hand corner. Jeez. Oh my goodness.
God. Sounds like a good TikTok right there.
I just feel like it's not well known how actually tough that kind of thing is, especially at Knoxville.
Just because they're slower.
Yeah, like everybody shits on them for being like.
Don't watch them at Terre Haute.
Yeah.
Go watch them.
Go watch them at like
Belleville.
Yeah.
Go watch them at Belleville.
These things are
go watch them at a
monsters
quarter
that are
mile. Like you won't talk shit ever again.
It's out of control, and it's insane. Yeah.
And then you go to a half mile that you're supposed to be calm and controlled, and it just doesn't happen like that.
They came around for their four wide salute, and the crowd's always waving. I don't know who it was. Somebody in their car waved. I just thought that was really nice. Kade,
it used to be a thing.
Have you ever waved to the crowd, Kade?
I do it all the time. Like if I start on the inside, I wave at the fire crew and the officials, and if I start on the outside, I wave like through the right arm guard. But it's kind of different when you have no wing on. Like you can just wave right at the top.
He just went above, and he was.
Hey guys. That used to be a thing. We need to see. Let's bring that back. I remember as a kid going to Knoxville, like you would always be able to see. You could count who wasn't doing that, and it feels like that's something that's gone away. Let's bring that back.
Come on, guys, you're not that tough. Wave some kids.
Yeah, wave some kids.
You're into Roofing 360 Sprint Cars back in action once again on Friday night. This time, 45 cars signed in. That's our biggest of the year so far. Those numbers are just going to keep staying steady and maybe going up here as we get closer to 360 Nationals. A lot of 410 guys going double duty. Kaylee Bryson made her first career start, a wing debut at the Knoxville Raceway. I want to say full debut at the Knoxville Raceway, honestly. But first, for sure, wing debut. Just kind of struggled throughout the night, just getting her feet underneath of it. But from what we saw on social media, I think she tweeted out or something that the plan is she just wants laps. So I think should expect her back, maybe not in a month or so, but the plan, I was talking to one of her crew guys, the plan, she wants to run nationals, 360 nationals. So we'll just have to see what happens there. Austin McCarl, Carson McCarl, Kerry Madsen, Ryan Timms, Emerson Axum all came down. And I think Kade, I said it going into the night, Tony and I did a pre-race show on Facebook, but that top 5 in points that we talked about separated by 42, guess what? They're no longer separated by 42 because we found out, at least for this week being, who could keep up with the guys like the 410s that bring down and really put on a show.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. Like, I don't really know what happened with the racetrack. Like, I was a lap car. I was running like 45th and in the way. About crashed one of the top 5 cars, just being a jackass. And like once Madsen passed me, like we all kind of just fell into the same groove, and like they never really pulled away from me, and I never got lapped by anybody else. So I don't know if like the last 10 laps of that thing just went a different direction or what the deal was, but like I thought before the race started that it was going to be totally bottom dominant, and then Tim's passes me and he's just up there sending it on the fence, and I'm like, where the hell did this guy come from? But it was cool to see. Like obviously, like I said, I thought the bottom was going to be kind of the place to be, especially after running the B, and that was like where I know Sawyer tried the top for a little bit in my B main, but the bottom was definitely the place to be, just because the top was so gnarly and so different. But yeah, Tim's kind of made that his bitch.
That was a preview of what was to come on Saturday.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Tasker goes from 6th to 2nd in the heat race. Great run. Yeah, Tasker.
He timed pretty well. He was talking shit about himself, but not timing. Timed pretty well.
We'll talk here in a second more about Tasker. Kerry goes 6 to 1. Good run for Kerry. I was like, it'd be so fitting if he won in that 360 race because his last win in a sprint car on U.S. soil was in a 360, and it was at Eagle. His last 410 win was at Atomic, and that was in 2023. So Kerry's good in a 360. I wouldn't put it past him, but definitely turned some heads. Clint Garner really struggled. Didn't make out of his heat race, just couldn't pass. Did get out of the B, which was good. He needed it, man, because if he didn't, boy, he was going to be in points trouble very quickly.
Yeah, been a little bit of a roller coaster here. Like you said, points wise, with as good as the guys that we're going to talk about here in just a little bit, you can't have off nights anymore. You got to be in the top 5 if you want to contend and maybe rattle off another win or two, because it's we don't have as many races as we probably would think with the rest of the season.
Right.
Yeah, and it was kind of like he was kind of in the same boat that I was Friday. Like I didn't even realize that he was in a B main until after the races were over, and then like when we went to push off for the A main, I'm like, oh shit, Clint starts like right in front of me, and I'm like, damn, maybe my night's not that bad.
It's a couple rough weeks for Clint since he won. I mean, things have kind of pulled back. Cole's been racing again. He had another car this week, so that's 2 cars that you're kind of looking over. Clint's going to figure it out.
He used to be the model of consistency, and so I mean, we know that he can do it. It's just got to go out and do it.
He'll figure it out.
Yep.
Ryan Timms, well, he had never won a 410 race or 360 race at Knoxville. He won a 410 before he won a 360. So I said, I'll check that off the list. I'll probably go down to a 305 eventually and probably knock that off the list. Ryan Timms wins your 360A feature it just looks like deja vu. And unfortunately for Austin McCarl, it did look like deja vu because he finished second again. And guess what he done in the 410? He finished second again. So we'll talk about Austin McCarl there. But Kade, obviously you were racing, but Josh, Austin was going to get there. I think 2 more laps, I think Austin would have gotten there. He found something on the bottom of the racetrack. He was just so sideways coming off of turn 4 that he had chances. But Ryan Timms gets it done again. And Austin's time is coming in anything. But we'll tie this in with the 410. I guess we could talk about it here for a second, boys. But Lee Big Ten, Ryan Timms, is on an absolute tear at Knoxville. And by far, he's the best driver we've got this year so far.
Yeah, and we posted it. He can't do anything but win at Knoxville right now.
Impossible.
And it really, when you go back and look at it, the Friday and Saturday races were damn near mirror images of each other. Like Austin would come up and challenge him, Timms would get away. Then he came back late, and like you were mentioning, Blake, on Friday, Austin just couldn't get off of 4. Like he was faster, I feel like, on the bottom, and I don't know if it was just real thin down there. There's a moment with Ryan Levitt too. He kind of showed how tricky it could be if you get into it a little bit too early out of 4, and he went all the way all over the place.
Was it 360 or 410? Austin slid him in 4 and took the lead for a quick second. Again, it's all in my mind together because it was the exact same thing.
I
literally could not tell you if it was the 360 or 410, but Austin got there, slid him, and then it was over. Ryan Timms,
and then he rocketed away from him.
Yeah,
like
and then
we've
Ryan
seen.
figured out what he did wrong, and he's like, all right, I got it.
Yeah.
And from our understanding, it's not a crew chief. Like it's just a team. It's the Lee Big Ten team. They all there's not really a specific crew chief, and the time has come for Ryan Timms because I remember it was either at River Cities or somewhere when he finished 3rd with the Outlaws, and he was only 16 years old, and everyone's like, holy cow, this kid is the next Kyle Larson. Next, we didn't really know Corey Day at the time, but obviously what Corey Day has become. And he just bounced around rides. He was in the Forbrook car, and he just kind of bounced everywhere. And now he's finally found a home, I think. And I don't know about you guys, but this kind of goes with 410. I don't want to turn fully to 410 here, but we're really going to figure out how strong that car is when the Outlaws show up in a couple of weeks. I think that's going to be your benchmark.
Because he struggled in his own stuff, which is the strangest of it all, honestly. Because he was really good, like you said, he was bouncing around a little bit. Correct me if I'm wrong. He won with Forbrook, right? Am I misremembering?
Not here.
I know he was quick time.
Huset's?
He was quick time.
Maybe it was a Huset's, or maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. But
I know
really
he won
struggled
in his own car at Huset's.
Yeah,
sure.
they really hit a rut with that, and it was like, man, what's happened? And then we saw, we kind of talked about this. We mentioned it in the interview with Dennis as well. Scott showed that you can win in that car.
Yeah.
When Ryan got in at the end of last year, he was really good, had some tough breaks, and like this is not surprising at all. Like they're out there just world beaters right now, and I'm really looking forward to the Outlaw weekend to really see just with that next echelon of drivers, just how high they stack up. What do you think, Kade?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like they proved that they're one of the best cars, especially at Knoxville. Like when they win the 360 and 410 back to back. That's not an easy thing to do, and it's also a testament to how good AMAC is to run second both nights, and they were both against very stout fields. It was kind of crazy.
Champion.
Yeah, and it was just crazy to see that both races were like damn near identical. I mean, there was like two or three.
To separate them on my mind. I just can't.
You can't, because there was like 2 or 3 laps that were different throughout both races, and that was all that separated it. Other than that, like it was the exact same race, just 2 different nights.
Yeah.
And if you're Austin, Kade, how frustrating is that? Because like we were talking about, he threw a slider at him, and then like that was your chance.
Yeah, it's very frustrating, but at the same point, like at that moment in time, you kind of got to realize, especially after Saturday, it's just like, yeah, maybe this guy's like the guy to beat at Knoxville right now, and you kind of take that with what take that for what it's worth. I know AMAC obviously wants to be the guy to beat, and shit happens, but Tim's is proving why they're 9 times out of 10 the car to beat. Anytime they show up to Knoxville, no matter what engine is in the car.
Am I crazy to think it's a crazy stat? Austin has won 3 championships at Knoxville and has 8 wins. I just feel like, he is the model of consistency. That's how he's won these championships. But if I'm Austin, even just thinking since I joined the Knoxville staff in 2023, how many got away? I mean, how many times he has been so close. Carson McCarl had a great run this weekend of 360. How close was he when Carson beat him last year? He's Brownie. How many times does he run second to Brownie? It's like Austin has been a bridesmaid a lot, and it's weird to say for a 3-time champion at the track. But, boy, I think it's one of those where you just got to knock it off. Because, like, last year, I think he obviously won the 360 shootout, but then the 410, I can't remember if he won a 410 race last year or not. I think he did.
I think he did.
Yeah, I think he did. It was the year before that he won the championship. Kick my mic. It was before the year before that he won a championship, and he didn't win a race. And I know that kind of kicked at him. He's like, well, it stinks. Kind of like what we talked with Kaleb Johnson. But
yeah,
Austin's almost there. He's very fast. Carson McCarl, like I said, very fast. Ryan Giles and Tasker Phillips separated themselves from the pack. Let me pull up the points here just real quick. We are sitting at a 63-point gap. Tasker Phillips leads the way. He had a close call with Jamie Ball in his heat race, but other than that, he was able to keep it clean. Ryan Giles is right there, man. I was really happy for the 2M. Both of them. I think it was phenomenal what they were able to do and stay top 10 with that level of competition, because it's those two that are our 360 guys, and then it's everybody else was a 410 guy. Jamie Ball back 113, and then Clint Garner and Tyler Gronendijk are separated by 1 point at 177 and 178. Cam Martin, then a big gap, 378. Terry McCarl, Timothy Smith, Dustin Selvage, and then Kade. So it's picking up, man. It'll change every week. I mean, we're going to start to get more and more cars. Those top 5 are going to have to stay consistent. Unfortunately, I don't think we're ever going to see them back within 42 points again. But watch out for those top 2, because they've clearly jumped ahead. So,
I mean, jinxes are not real here, guys. Tasker has not had the best of luck in the 410, and you just never know. Like if anybody has a bad night, everybody is right back together. Yeah. And I don't wish any ill on anybody, of course. Going back real quick to Giles though, like I don't remember if I was talking to Matt Memoro or if it was somebody else, but it was good to see. We talked to Ryan about that. Like you mentioned it earlier in the show, like you got kids to get back. You can't go out there and just be crazy on the racetrack. When he was starting up, I think it was 5th or 6th in a hornet's nest of a bunch of 410 drivers that are out there cutthroat, on kill mode, that it was like, man, you have to get a good start and you have to go. Like you have to not hold anything back. And he did that. And him and Tasker had a hell of a battle, pretty much top 5, I think, most of that night. So it's cool. Like they kind of set the bar, like we are right there with those 410 guys. And I think we're only going to see them kind of separate, like we've already talked about, unless something does happen.
Right. Parker Bryce Miller was hard charger 14-8. Tough break for those guys on a 4:10 night. Engine let go after literally going quick time at the time. They always say the engine runs the fastest before it goes. And unfortunately, that seems like it was the key. And they just packed up and headed home. So tough break.
They were thrashing, though. I didn't get a chance to talk to them because
I thought maybe they'd be here tonight at Huset's if they left early, but no.
Yeah, they even had a different. I thought I saw they had a different motor up in the trailer, so I don't know if something just changed or if didn't have enough time with the quick turnaround to get out for the heat, and then it's like, well, what are we doing at that point? So, yeah, it's cool seeing Bernie out there at Knoxville. Sucks that they had that luck though.
Does anyone know what happened to Sawyer after the B? I know he was having engine troubles, but I don't know exactly what it was. I was just kind of curious about that.
I must have missed that.
He stopped.
He didn't start the A.
I don't remember. But I do remember his car being pushed back. I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea.
You were useless.
Roberts.
Interesting.
Well, Roberts wasn't in the infield, so that's probably why. Roberts was up in the booth with KNIA, so it was just Drake York, and obviously he wasn't doing work area. So I don't know. Might have to ask.
Yeah, it was weird. Like he finished the B. He ran first. I ran second. Yeah. And
I don't know.
I remember we pushed off for the A, and I looked over, and his car was still sitting in the pit area, and I had no idea what happened.
I don't know. 410s, Emerson Axum and Austin McCarl quickest for quick time. Emerson Axum was overall quick time. He did that in Group 2, boys. He did not do that in Group 1. He went quick time in Group 2. So good run for Emerson Axum. I like having him at Knoxville. Tony and I say it all the time. I wish he would have run for points because I think he'd be right there in the fight. Didn't really get going in his heat race, though, P5. So that kind of set him behind the 8-ball. Scott Boguski was balling last night. Started on the front row. I thought for sure. I'm like, all right, here we go. And I think if we talked to Scott, I think he wished his start would have been a little bit better. I think he just kind of got caught on the start. But good night nonetheless for Scott Boguski. We talked about Ryan Timms, and we we already said what happened. It happened on Friday night. Ryan Timms got away from Austin.
It was a carbon copy of what happened.
Ryan Timms literally just did not leave the top of the racetrack. He's just money. I mean, he was just on the fence all night long. He has no fear, and he just ran away with it. First time this season that the winner of the race in the 410s didn't start on the front row. It was also the first time Ryan Timms did not start on the front row all year in all of his races, which is pretty crazy. The invert was 0, so it was him and Scott Boguski on the front row. Brian Brown really couldn't get going. I thought maybe that's what we were curious about. When Brian won those back-to-back races, we're like, what does Brownie do when he's kind of mired back in traffic? And they're still, I think he's still kind of looking for a little bit of speed, and I'm sure he'd tell you that too.
I think you called it, Blake, during the race. He was shot out of a cannon on the start out of 2.
Yeah.
And then it was like, that was it. It kind of just settled in after that.
Yeah.
Like
he was big off 2, and then I think he might have got chopped by somebody.
I think he did.
Goodnow was flying in the beginning. Riley Goodnow had something under the hood in the first 5 laps. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Got John Egan tuning that thing up.
Crazy. He's in Tatnall's 16 tonight at Houston. It's pretty cool.
I'll tell you, we did touch on it. Well, we can move on. Watching Ryan Timms pound the cushion though on Saturday night was freaking awesome. Like I was really watching a lot down in 3 and 4 because that's kind of where it was peeling up a little bit, and where Ayrton, we'll talk about in just a sec, where he had his big old moment. But man, there was no fear in the 10 car. It's cool. It was a little throwback. I remember when it used to be up on the wall like that quite a bit back in the day, and it reminded me of some of those old races. It's like I think he even said it in his post race, like probably just a few inches away from the wall and a big mistake, but it's how you got to win these races, guys.
I want a GoPro on that right rear next week. It'll probably fall off, but GoPro on the right rear. Ayrton Jennington goes 24-12. I joked on his Facebook page. I'm like, he just likes passing cars. He likes making it hard on himself because he went through the B and then he goes 24-12. So good run for Ayrton. He's an outlaw, man. He's everywhere. He's in Huset tonight for the first time this year. So
2,800 miles, he told me, is what's coming up in the next week. 2,800 miles in 7 days.
Insane. Austin McCarl is unit points leader by just 5 points over Brian Brown. Expect that to be pretty much the same. Looking like it's going to be what it was between Reitzel and McCarl. It's going to come down to the last week, and Should be fun to watch. All right. Outside of Knoxville, recap. High Limit was rained out on Friday at Lawrenceburg. Another rain out for High Limit. They can't seem to catch a break. World of Outlaws was up in the Dakotas this week at River City. Buddy Kofoid got the win over David Gravel and Donnie Schatz. David Gravel drew the one. Everyone went, ugh. And then Buddy Kofoid got around him early. Track looked like, I didn't have volume on. It looked like it took rubber in the end, unfortunately. But Buddy Kofoid gets the win. Quietly, very good. Watch out, boys. Huset's coming up. He is a High Bank Nationals winner. That 83 Roth team, they got that motor blown. He should be a two-time
Exactly.
High Bank National winner if that motor didn't go. But Buddy Kofoid, man, sneaky good. Knoxville has been an Achilles heel for him, but man, he's starting to figure it out.
Yeah, and he's always a gasser, and he's always super fun to watch at the shorter tracks. And like we kind of said at the beginning of the year, like if they get their stuff together and start kind of clicking off wins, we'll see some confidence, and they'll definitely be clicking off more wins and be a lot more fun to watch. I feel like we've all kind of been let down at the Kofoid show as far as the year's gone, but it'll be good to see him kind of like as we get into the summer months and see him start kind of clicking off some wins like we just saw. He'll be fun to watch, and he always puts on one hell of a show when he's confident.
Consistency has been the theme that we've talked about. In that, if you look at the standings, he moved into second in the points. He has the second most wins with the Outlaws this year. But the glaring stat is he is the only guy in the top five that has single-digit top fives, and it's impressive that he's in second with
How many
only
is
9.
he behind Gravel?
14. Excuse me, 14.
Points.
Oh, I'm sorry. 188. So yeah. But that's a crazy.
Man.
27 starts. Gravel has 23 top fives and a bazillion top tens in a row.
Insane. I think he's up to 36.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
While you're on
And
points, or go ahead.
I was just going to say, and I can't recall what Johnny said, but Buddy's actually on a top 10 streak himself too. So that again, if there's a stretch of bad luck for the 2-car, things could get interesting quick, but nothing leads me to believe that that's going to happen.
And then we didn't have it on here, but Monday the Outlaws raced Macedo won. I'm pretty sure, unless I'm just going crazy. Yeah,
Atomic.
I can't remember where.
They were at
Atomic.
Beat Chris Wyndham and Cole Duncan on a rubber down track from like lap 2.
It was unfortunately good run for Cole Duncan though. That was cool. A lot of,
I think he probably had a real good chance of winning that thing
if it didn't rubber.
And he still had a pretty damn good chance. And I know that Justin Fiedler, Dirt Tracker, talked about it too. It was cool. He tried to make something happen, and it cost him second. But at that point, it's like, well, second or third, who really gives a shit?
Right.
But the 7S, man, they're starting to click them off.
Pull out your points sheets, boys. We got drama in High Limit at Butler, Michigan. Justin Peck defeats Aaron Reitzel and Rico Abreu, who did not cross the line in third. I like Butler. Butler's an amazing track. It was very dusty, very dirty, but it cleaned off as the night kind of went on. Lap traffic was wild. Justin Peck continues a heater that he's been on. They got a nice treehouse up there on the hill at Butler. I want to go watch a race at the treehouse at Butler Speedway. The story of the night, boys, unfortunately, overshadowed Justin Peck's win, was that Brad Sweet, the points leader at the time, Josh will give us the points in a second, he just didn't go to the scales. We talked about it with Emerson Axum earlier this season at Knoxville. He didn't go to the scales. Donnie Schatz literally made the Knoxville Nationals last year because somebody didn't go to the scales. It's just really weird because Brad Sweet is co-owner. You think everything's rolling. I don't think Brad has had an interview of any sort, but I will say the end of the race was very weird. Like the broadcast and Tony Laporta and everyone, 30 laps went the distance. And then when they got to should have been the checkered flag, the guy in the flag stand was waving white flags. So then they did another lap. So
Jeremy Elliott had a good video that he put out this morning. I guess he did talk to Mike Hess about it. And we were really confused when we were at the track and talking about this, that like, how in the hell does that happen? And it made a lot more sense after listening to Jeremy's video on YouTube. Apparently Mike Hess was not in the tower because they couldn't see out of the tower. So he was not able to, I guess, have a direct line after the race. But apparently Brad had a tire go down on what should have been the last lap, but then they ran the extra lap, and he fell way back. So he just thought that he, didn't have to go to the scales because he didn't finish third because his tire was flat. Normally they would let him scale, and as long as nobody touches the car and an official can see your car from when it leaves the track, they could not confirm that, and that was essentially what caused them to DQ him.
So they didn't count they didn't count that extra lap that they went around?
I can't recall exactly.
Because that makes it seem like they didn't count that extra lap.
That's kind of what I took. Yeah, I don't have all the information, so it's tough to say. But Jeremy on SprintCarUnlimited.com, his YouTube, did a quick video on that. I recommend you guys go and watch that because gave a lot of context to what that situation was.
Kade, just quickly explain again, when the race finishes, what's the race director usually say afterwards?
I've never been in the high limit standpoint, but like Knoxville, McCoy is up your ass about it. He's like, he rattles off the numbers that run 1 through 5 because top 5 go to the scales after the feature, and he rattles off every number. He doesn't just say top 5 go to the scales. Like, you got to look at the board by yourself. Yep. Like he rattles off each number and tells you need to go to the scale, and if you don't, you get DQ'd. Yeah. And like I said, I've never been in the high limit standpoint. I don't know if their race director does that. I don't know exactly how that works, but I'm sure there's no gray area, and that's why
I would assume
that's why Brad got DQ'd. I mean, and it's good to see that they straight up
stuck with it.
They straight up have a rule and they don't mess with it. Like, just because the guy owns the series, they're not gonna not DQ him because he didn't go to the scales. They're not gonna give him a second chance. They're not doing any of that. They straight up just stuck to their rule. They DQ'd him, and it was over with.
And
what are the points, Josh?
I was about to say, for the lack of excitement that we have in the Outlaw point championship
We're making up
race,
for it.
we are making up for it in both the midweek and just the year long. So Tyler Courtney is now the point leader with the year long deal. He is 6 over Brad Sweet in second. Rico Abreu is 30 back. Brent Marks 35 back, and Aaron Reitzel is 38 back.
Dang,
so we've got the top 5 within 38. And moving to the midweek series, Rico leads that by 14 over Brad Sweet. Reitzel is 32 back in third. Courtney is, holy cow, Courtney is 34 back in fourth. Justin Peck is 35 back in fifth. Brent Marks is 38 back in sixth.
What?
So we've got plenty of drama in the top 10. The top 10's within 66 points in the midweek deal.
I wonder, do their point standings kind of change or like how they score points kind of change for midweek and whatnot? I'm not really sure. I've always wanted to like Huset's. Like, it'll be the last week of the season in the Race Saver 305s, and like the points gap between the top 10 will be 10 points.
It is only 2 races. It is only 2 races for the midweek versus 16. Yeah, well, so you have that too.
Yeah. But like Huset's, it'll be like the last week of the season. You expect every points battle is within 10 points, and you're like, what? But no, that's cool. It's great for High Limit. They have a lot of shows coming up. It's been a busy couple months. They got Eagle. I'm trying to tell the boys we got to get a van. We got to go to Eagle. We got to watch Eagle. Eagle's a great place.
If there's only 3 of us, why do we need a van?
I don't know. You want to get one of those pickups where we sit 1, 2, 3?
I saw somebody doing that on the way to Knoxville. Fun fact. Anyway,
dude, that trip on I-80 we'd just be humming along.
Oh God.
Somebody Photoshop it, please.
Please don't.
Josh can.
World of Outlaws are we're at Red River Valley on Saturday. Sheldon Hodenshield gets past Donnie Schatz early, gets the win over David Gravel and Donnie Schatz. Donnie sounded kind of disappointed in post race. You can tell it's just eating at him. He wants to win. He knows he doesn't need to win, but his standard is winning, and Donnie just hasn't been able to do it yet. Sheldon picks up a big win. You know, Sheldon just did what he did. He did pass Donnie on the inside on in the race. It was either that or the dash. So that was kind of weird. I was like, that's usually. I think Ross Weiss even tweeted it out. He's like, Donnie ran the Hodenshield line and Hod ran the Donnie line. Like, what in the world is happening?
Like we're in the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, congratulations to Sheldon and that whole team. Shout out Sam Haferteep Jr. 80 wins with ASCS this past weekend at the Steve King Memorial at Dodge City Raceway Park. That place is sick. Dodge City is awesome. Sam Haferteep, I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. He's going to be a Hall of Famer one day. I feel like just what he's done across all racing is great. 80 wins. I mean, I know it's not the Outlaws, but like some of those Outlaw guys, some of the bigger names, they're not at 80. You know, I know it's obviously not a different series, but Sam has been the cream of the crop in ASCS the last couple.
And what's even crazier, Blake? Excuse me. I think I saw.
He's like,
no, I think I saw you. It may have been. I don't remember who posted. It may have been ASCS themselves, but he's second behind Gary Wright now. But I think he's still like 40 some wins behind Gary Wright. So it's like, damn, 80's a lot, and
Gary
still just a little over like half of what he's already won, still behind Gary Wright.
That's kind of like Lazowski's 112 wins at Knoxville, and then you look at Brian Brown's 68, and you're like, dang, Brownie, good luck.
You got to double that.
Yeah,
insane, man. That's unheard of. It's the summer of Doug Wolfgang. I can't imagine how many wins Doug. Really cool.
It's time to fire Kade up here.
Yeah, I was gonna say Kade's been a little quiet tonight. I can tell he's a little tired. He was out on the boat getting hammered, and you can probably tell how many times he's talked about balls today. I mean, that's just kind of how it's been. But there was a little 500 this past weekend. Shout out Emerson Axum was racing the little 500. He qualified fourth. Unfortunately, wrecked out in it. There was a picture going around on social media of the car, and somebody's head is sticking above the bars, the roll cage, if you will. And Kade on Facebook, Twitter.
It was actually Twitter. The first time that I've posted on Twitter in a long time.
Kade was not happy with such things. Kade explained the whole thing, explained safety. What are we doing here? This ain't good.
No, it's really not good. I mean, the guy's head is sticking an inch out of the top of the roll cage
somewhere. That way people can maybe see it.
Yeah, you can probably throw that in.
I'll put it. Yep.
If you look at my Twitter, it's probably like the most recent thing that I've posted. But yeah, it's very silly, especially on pavement. Like if you even flip over, that is like a surefire way to die. I don't know how the hell the officials let that go and let him race like that. And like I noticed Tony Ross posted something on Twitter, replying to what I posted, and he was like, is that seat supposed to be laid back that far? And somebody else replied and was like, no, it's not supposed to be like that. So I feel like they were laying the seat back to kind of try to get some more head clearance, and it obviously didn't work. And the seat laid back like that made even more of an unsafe situation. So yeah, definitely something to look at as far as people that are kind of newer to the sport and might not know that. If you look at my Twitter, there's a picture real recently of something not to do and something to look out for as far as I know there's a lot of taller people that are starting to race sprint cars nowadays, and there's different cars that you can get built that kind of suit a taller guy, and a lot of people don't know that, and a lot of people don't realize that like your head can stick out of the top of the cage. You don't see it a whole lot, but when you do, it's a big deal, kind of like what we saw this past week.
So Flea Ruzick also shared it, and he made a few different points, and Flea is I would say super respected in the industry.
Yeah,
and he actually replied about somebody saying that, how did the sanctioning body let this go through? They should be responsible for the safety. He made a good point that no, you should be responsible for your own safety always, and you shouldn't just be putting your hands into some authority. While I do agree with that, I also agree with the other poster that it's like, what are we doing here? If you're an official in that series and you see that, what are we even doing?
And how can you not have guilt if something did happen?
Right. If you see that and you let that go and something
prevented it.
Exactly. To me, it's unacceptable, and our sport needs to be better. Yeah. Plain and simple.
Yeah, and the thing is, like at Knoxville, we have our own pre-tech kind of, I don't know what you would call it, but like our procedure. That was the word I was looking for. We have a pre-tech deal, and I mean, they kind of more or less look for shit like that, and they make sure your frame is like the right thickness and stuff like that. Make sure your seatbelts are up to date. And I don't know if they did that for this particular event, but if not, I feel like they should start doing that and just kind of do like the way Knoxville does and give you a tech sticker. And if you don't have the tech sticker, you don't race.
Yeah, Kade, if you showed up like that, I would kick your ass and like.
I would.
That's the other thing too. Like, do you not have any?
I would kick my own ass for sure.
Yeah. If you're that dude, do you not have any friends that are like, "Hey, buddy, your fucking head's sticking out of the cage. What are we doing here?" It's like, yeah. I mean, we've all seen guys get hurt or worse, and it's such a black eye on the sport, let alone the ramifications that it has, on the friends and families of the people affected. And it's like I said, we just got to be better and not let shit like that happen.
And the biggest thing is, like, we're all doing this shit for fun. Like, nobody, I mean, there's guys that try to do it to make money, and some of them are fortunate enough to do it. But for the most part, most of us are doing this shit for fun. And if you can go home at night, that's a great thing. And minimizing your chances of dying at the racetrack is definitely the way to be.
Absolutely. All right. Well, good conversations tonight, boys. Hour and 10 minutes. Oh my gosh.
It's a long one tonight, guys. We might hit the 2-hour mark.
You can cut about 10 minutes of me saying that people have huge balls out of there.
Yeah. So
it's just something about non-wing cars at Knoxville, dude. It's just,
man.
it's
gotta get up on it.
Tickles your fancy, Kade. It sounds.
It does. Like, I wish I had the courage to do it.
The courage. There we
Courage.
go.
I changed my word.
All right, boys. Well, we have Dennis Gainey on the show. We had a chance to interview him after the races on Saturday night. Let's jump right in. Dennis Gainey on the Knoxville Nights podcast.
Dennis, thanks for joining us. Disclaimer, all of Dennis's opinions are his own, unless we agree with them.
Do not cancel us.
Dennis, thanks for coming out. I want to start out, I got to see your first win, your guys' first win as a team last year at East Moline. I got to call it, which was really cool. On Wade's podcast, you talked about how much that track means to you, and I sure liked it when I saw it. Can you talk about that first win with Brandon?
Yeah, that first win was a couple years in the making, like we discussed. The whole reason why I purchased the 360 was to run at East Moline for my grandfather, and he unfortunately had some health issues, so he didn't make it back for that race, and it was cool to win there first as a team. Really awesome, so it was big for me.
Get it going, Kade.
You should.
So I really want to start digging into the good stuff here.
Okay.
That's why I'm going to let you go.
We've had some turnover in sprint cars here lately. The silly season's getting going a little bit. From a team owner's perspective, what was your take on the whole shark deal? How much leash do you give a guy if it's their fault or not, like tearing stuff up? Does that factor into anything? Like, or does it just come down to your reckon? It doesn't matter if it's your fault or not, and we just got to make a decision.
I don't. Obviously, it's up to each individual owner when it comes to that. I feel that my personal opinion is there's a lot of car owners that become very impatient with either crew chiefs or drivers. We're all spending a lot of money, and everybody thinks because they're spending that amount of money that they should be top of the level and just as good as everybody else. But I don't think there's been any World of Outlaw champion that hasn't been on the tour for 10 years. It takes longevity.
Yeah.
It takes time to get there. That's why sometimes with like Tim's and Axum, their early success really quickly is very impressive because it's hard. The sport's hard. It takes a lot.
And I guess should take a step back. How did you get involved in all this? Just racing in general, and like what got you to this point?
I mean, family was always like the thing for me. They always raced, right? My father worked on race cars, so that's what got me started. Worked on cars for years and years and years. Volunteered my time, spent my own money to be a part of something and to go work with guys and win races. And then I helped Bobby Meinster for a lot of years up here with his 410 stuff. We won quite a few 360 races together, Sprint Invader stuff. And I just, instead of spending money on someone else's stuff, I finally decided I was going to buy my own. And it kind of escalated quickly.
Now we're here.
So yeah, now we're here.
While we're on the topic, you've had a lot of different drivers and a lot of different personalities in your cars. What do you look for when you're thinking about who's going to drive your stuff next?
I think about winning races and who I feel has a good opportunity to do that. When I first started the team, Brandon Wimmer for me was an obvious choice because I felt that knowing starting out I needed to take care of equipment, but I wanted to be competitive. And he's both of those things. So he was an easy choice for me from the get-go. And since then I've worked and worked and worked just to try to surround myself with good people. That starts with the guys at the shop. Between DMJ, Billy, and Dylan, and Josh, and Roger, Sioux Falls. Roger couldn't make it this weekend, but all those guys, they worked so hard, and they're the ones that all this success is. It's them.
You're 3 of 3 at Huset this year, and you talk about drivers. You found a good one at Kaleb Johnson, who obviously was the champion, and things kind of worked together when you guys won the 360 prelim night. What do you got right? I mean, what is going right? And you talked about it, I think, on Wade's. That crew has gelled together really well. Is that really what it is that's just helped Kaleb jump out to such a big start here at Huset?
It's a lot of that. We have a very good engine program, which has helped up there. We have a decent package with the cars. We've ran 3 different engines, 2 different cars. We're actually going with the same combo this weekend that we ran last weekend, but it's the guys. Caleb's confidence there is
insane.
Like it's above the moon, right? Like he's just fast, and that happens, guys. They find that one thing and they just keep going. There's been a lot of times I worked with John Carney in the 360 class up here for years, and we were close and close and close, and we always said if he won one, he'd win a lot, and that's what ended up happening. And it's going to be interesting this weekend. I think Macri's going up there, maybe TJ Stutz. I think there's some other cars, good quality cars, that are going to show up tomorrow, and it'll at least give us a good gauge of where we're at for High Banks, because we're excited for that.
What's it been like to get off to this start?
I said on a Facebook post, it's surreal, right? Like it doesn't seem real sometimes, right? Because you work so hard just to try to think that you can win races and your team's going to win, to show up and think, well, we might have a shot. And now it feels like we're the car to beat. And I don't know how we got there. I really don't, right? It's surprising.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's Kaleb. He's talented. He's very good.
Yes.
And he was on with us and was telling us like how you had to make some changes to your team with some of the things that you were running. And I think that goes to show that like you want your driver to be comfortable, right? And if they're not comfortable with a certain thing, being flexible and not shoehorning, what you want to do.
Yeah, we can ask Kade this because he's a driver, but yeah. I feel that the drivers are a little on the mental side, and you have to have them in the right mindset for them to be successful at all. It doesn't matter what you have underneath them, around them. If they're not in the right mindset, you're not going to win races. Right, Kade?
Yeah, and everybody knows that those are the easiest bolts on the race car to change.
Yeah. Well, whenever I haven't told Kaleb this yet, but I've told Brandon many a times. I said, when we're struggling, we're bad. I'm just like, it's a spacer issue. And he looked at me the first time, and I'm like, yeah, the space between the seat and the steering wheel.
We may have found out what's going on the 360, Kade, but we'll talk about that later.
I think you're right.
We don't need to talk about 360 racing right now.
Can we? Well, I would love to ask. Basically, I just want to know. So the points changed. Tasker Phillips declares. You said, or your comment on Facebook got more likes than my actual post about it. And I was like, well, there's the opinion. And somebody said, when the Garners, the Balls, and everybody are liking Dennis's tweets, you know something's got to be different. And so explain that scenario. You said to me you would have changed how you did this year. Can you explain kind of how you would have gone about that and then the whole thought process?
So the rule has always been written as you had to declare what class you're running for. You couldn't
at the beginning of the season.
It did not specify a date.
Okay.
Right? So it said you declare, and I think the majority of us assumed that meant you had to declare that you were either going to run right, Kade? You tried it this year. I don't know what you declared for at the beginning of the year, did you? Or
360, yeah.
360. So you declare.
I didn't really like tell anybody that. Though.
Well, so you right, like it just kind of happens. But we assume that you declare. Otherwise, I probably would have worked my hardest to make sure that my second 360 was ready before the year started, and ran Kaleb in both classes along with Dustin in the 360. So that way, one, Kaleb gets more laps. Two, I'm chasing trophies. And I can tell you that those championship cups, I mean, you've got one, right?
Yep.
Those are awful nice trophies. And they're not, I don't think they're plastic ones, right? Like
They're plastic, but they still,
are they?
You can still drink beer out of them.
I remember that. So,
Well, maybe not.
like, if you can wait till June 1st,
You would have maybe, decide.
which is a third of the way through our season, especially for 360s, because you have one race that counts for points after August 1st, right? Like, you go all the way through that year, and I mean, to me, that's too late to make that decision. My only issue with it, right? Like, I love that Tasker's running for that cup. What I didn't like is the fact that the rule change and the wording of the rule changed on May 19th. To me, that's wrong.
It is 11:35 on May 31st. So if like Sawyer or anybody wants to change in the next 25 minutes, they can do it. It's
I'll keep looking to see if we have any
if
people.
anybody goes to McCoy.
Do we send the email directly to you? Or?
Well, I don't know. I just was scrolling on one day. I'm like, man, something's not right. But no, it's interesting.
Definitely shook things up because he is, I think, shown now that he's probably
Now
the
he's
guy
up
to
by
beat.
63. Yeah.
I think a lot of us in the pits would absolutely love to see Tasker win that.
Yeah.
He's been racing so hard. Obviously, we saw again tonight. He has no luck in the 410, none at all. And so I mean, I'm hoping for him and for Jody. I think that would be big for them.
Yeah. And we talked about it with him last week. You know, he's had a lot of ups and downs in his career too, and like it takes consistency and finishing races to win these things. And knock on wood, he's been doing that so far in the 360. So yeah, hopefully he can get her done, Kade.
Yeah, he was saying that Brad knocked the 410 right out of him.
It did.
He just keeps proving
It's
that.
still not at back.
I agree with that.
You talk about how surreal it is to win the first 3 at Husets. I was up in the tech area with you last year when Kaleb won that prelim night, and you kind of had the same feeling. You said, pinch me, I don't think this is real.
Yeah, Nationals is always different. The prelim nights are always like, it's hard to get through that, right? Like, obviously the draw is very important. We can talk about draws later, but the draw is very, very important. And we didn't draw very good, right? And so you kind of get down on yourselves and everything else. And then Kaleb went out late and ran a really good lap, at least decent enough. And I started trying to get the guys pumped up about things, and I said, if you look over time, you look at history, right? The invert, guys miss the invert through the heat race, right? And so it's an 8 invert for the feature. And I said normally that ends up between 13th and like 22nd in time is where you'll end up on the front row. And I think we were like 17th or something. And as the heat races are going, I'm counting cars. And before the last one, I told Billy, I said, hey, one more, and we're going to be on the pole of this thing. And I said, and then everything changes.
Yeah.
Right? Starting up front here, everything changes. Clean air means so much. Saw it tonight in the 410 class. There wasn't a whole lot of passing, right? Like, because cars get the same speed. And so if you can get a car that maneuvers and can pass cars, all you really need to do is try to qualify well enough to make that invert. And then again, it's a new ball game for everybody.
Yeah, we were kind of in the same boat, too. We qualified what I thought was kind of like shit, and then ended up sitting on the front row of that thing, and I'm like, holy shit, like this thing just went from a pretty bad night to pretty good pretty quick.
Yeah, and it was weird that night, too, because normally Kaleb, like you saw him again tonight, in his own stuff, it always seemed like he'd run the bottom, and he runs the bottom really extremely well. We saw that in the heat race tonight, but in my car, for some reason, I think he likes to make me nervous and just pound the top over and over again. And I was expecting some of that night, but he ran all 25.
Yeah,
25 on the bottom.
On the bottom.
I think one of them was on the berm passing Cole Garner at one point in time, right?
I watched that happen.
I think we went green the whole way, but I mean,
yeah, we did.
But very competitive cars breathing down his neck. I mean,
Yeah, because I remember Randall, I think, was charging late, right?
I can't remember if Courtney was in your prelim night or if he was in Sam Haferteep's, but you talk about this year and you talked about the heat race tonight. People see how fast that 6K is. In clean air, you guys won by what, a straightaway or something? Is it just qualifying? Do you just got to figure out qualifying and you feel like you guys are set?
We do. We have to figure out that early part of the night. We've struggled with that, both with the 360 and the 410. I think until last night, Dustin had won every heat race he had been in because when it comes to race time, we have pretty competitive race cars. They get around here pretty good. Both drivers are working their tails off to drive these things for me. I just need to get my part figured out early in the night so they can be successful later.
Hot laps change anything for when 360s for like Dustin? Did hot laps this week change anything for you? Was it just nice to have it back?
It was nice to have it back. Part of the discussion's been we've been trying different things to get better in qualifying, but it's hard. It's hard to make a change because you can't make a change, right? Like you don't get any practice. So unless we rent the track, that's the only time we're going to get any type of warm-up laps to decide if we're getting better. So we're just coming to the track with a guess on what might make us better. And 2 weeks ago, it didn't, right?
Yeah.
Dustin didn't like it. And again, we're the same thing. Front of a heat race, won a heat race, start 14th in the A or whatever, and try to make as much ground as possible.
You've talked about that too, how it's kind of been a little bit of a struggle with no qualifying. Like you just get 2 or whatever 3 laps and kind of hope a little bit.
Yeah,
maybe this will set you off. What was your thoughts on kind of that change? I know we're trying to speed things up to get the show going through a little bit.
Yeah,
quicker.
I think it helps the track a little bit later in the night for the 410 cars for their features. I understand why they're doing it. I mean, there's plenty of guys out there. I think Ryan Levitt loves it because he gets 3 laps and normally he can't put 2 together. So I feel he's really excited about it. So
it's too bad he's not in the audience.
Oh my gosh,
I don't know where we're at. I don't know. Love you, Ryan.
Let's talk draws. 0 draw tonight. Brownie and Tim's. Tim's had started on the front row every single
Talking
week.
invert?
Yeah, invert, sorry. And I guess draw same way. We'll talk about draws in a second. But invert, hand in hand sometimes. Tim's had started on the front row every single night this year that he had raced, and then tonight he doesn't and he wins. First front row start this year, or first time a winner in the 410 this year didn't start on the front row. So there's your fun fact.
Like to see that.
And
Should've put that on your trivia.
Yeah, I should have put that on my trivia. Do we need to change anything with inverts? Like, I mean, it just feels like people get annoyed when like Brownie is on the front row all the time, but is it a system that we're pushing over the top that we don't?
So
need?
I don't think there's anything wrong with the invert, right? Like I think
I'm with you.
you guys talked about it a little bit. I think you guys said you thought there was like a 0, 2, a 4 to 6. I think there's actually an 8 in that cup too.
Yep,
There is.
and it never gets full.
I like the fact that when we do the draw, because Dustin drew 2 weeks in a row, and he drew the 0 twice in a row.
Yeah,
right?
360
2 weeks in a row.
was a 0 forever.
2 weeks in a row. That's Dustin's fault. So I don't see an issue with drawing the spoon for the invert. I see an issue with the way the format is to how you get into the feature, right? Like let's take Brady Bacon for example tonight. I mean, he had a bad qualifying lap, whether that was because of his draw or because he was just off a little bit or whatever, but he starts 7th in his heat, runs to 4th, past 3 guys that out-qualified him, and all for really nothing. I mean, still in the B. Started 4th in B. Good for him. I think he made the show. Did he make it?
Oh, yeah.
So he made the show, but to me, if you can't put qualifying so dependent on it, line the heat races up, take 5, right? Take transfers, whatever number you decide that is. You can still line the field up by the total points, so it makes every position in the heat still matter. But if just because you're quick time, you run 8th in your heat, why is that better than somebody that actually races their way to the front of the heat race?
Brownie limped it around. Brownie was broke when a couple weeks ago.
I think Terry McCarl has a similar situation.
And he just doesn't matter.
I think last year one time my car turned Aaron Reitzel upside down in a heat race.
Didn't matter.
Didn't matter. Aaron was still in the feature. His car was garbage, so he didn't even start, but he was still in the feature, right? Like, I feel that takes away from some of the other guys that are trying to put on a show.
Yeah.
Because they deserve it just as much. If you run the top 5 in your heat race, you should probably be in the A. If you're quick time, if you're the quickest car in your heat race, and you don't manage to pass one car,
It is called racing after all.
I agree.
So like if
It's not
you're,
like the
if you're
Outlaws
passing
where
cars,
it's just
yeah.
you run away. Like the guy who was quick time usually wins a heat, and then it's like,
Yep.
boom, they're
I mean,
already in the
we
day.
hear kind of the similar arguments around nationals time too, with how important it is, during your qualifying. And I'm with you. I think that there are some tweaks that could probably be made to reward guys, like you said, that go out there, put on a show.
I love nationals. I love the big invert. Love it.
I do too.
Always have. I think what changed a little bit is the car counts got down, so they changed the invert to 8 instead of 10. I think that made it harder for guys to get from the 8th spot into a transfer, just because from 8th to 1st, the cars were so close, but I think there's a bigger disparity from 8th to 10th.
Yeah.
Right? Like from that guy that would be the 50th guy in qualifying, right? I think there's a bigger difference there. And I think that's what's made it harder. You see a lot of that in the last couple of years, guys not being able to get through their heats. But same thing, nationals, cream always rises to the top. Don't ever change it. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
kind
agree.
of something to think about too. Like if you have, like with the 10 invert, you had guys on the front row that obviously probably weren't going to win the heat race.
Maybe bottled it up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
You could have the guy come from 10th and sometimes win that son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And you don't really see that much anymore. And I think a lot of that,
And that's
like you were saying, the cars that start up front are that much better than, say, 10 spots back.
Yeah.
Right. And I think in the 360, it's even harder because it's 6 in the heat race.
Yes.
Right? Like, it's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll take that any day over the Outlaws, where you just line them straight up and it's single file for 8 laps for every heat race.
So you haven't figured out a draw really this year, and you were talking about draws. I think you and I were talking about it a couple weeks ago. Is there a system of the draws, Dennis? Because when you were talking to me, you were like, "Yeah, I think there might be." Larson has been a 6 and a 7 the last 2 years at the Knoxville Nationals. That's worth noting.
Another thing worth noting is
I forgot my tinfoil around here too.
another thing worth noting is I'm pretty sure Dennis drew a 69 for like 3 weeks in a row.
Nice.
last
Yeah.
year.
So
I did.
what do you know?
Nationals is somewhat, to me, a little realistic because you're pulling an envelope that's got a poker chip in it.
Yep.
It's got a number on it.
You don't see it here on a weekly basis, right?
Well, that doesn't even matter. It's on a computer system,
Yeah.
right? Like, so it's a random number generator, right? There's mainly like 4 different types. Some have patterns, some don't. Maybe you need to get my race pass on here and find out what type it is and find out if it's something anybody, well, we're wearing tinfoil hats. Can somebody manipulate it, right? Like, I mean,
The way
we saw
technology is
there's
nowadays,
there's a lot of conspiracies going on out there, right?
The way technology is nowadays, you do worry about it. I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
people can do whatever they want, and it's like, yeah. But
And honestly, like, if we used my race pass at nationals, and how much does it pay now?
You would know.
in nationals,
Yes.
$189,000.
$189,000. Do you think that somebody trying to win that wouldn't do everything in their power to get the best draw to try to get in that show?
I mean, everybody
Yeah,
The
on a
guy
computer
who has
system.
won the last 2 years.
everybody follows the rules.
But
Dennis.
that's a poker chip.
yeah,
so
yeah. So that's different. but
Everybody
yeah.
follows the rules.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Everybody.
tell
Especially
us-
in racing.
Tell us about what are these qualifying wings, headers
Oh.
that we outlawed, the pans
Yeah.
underneath the cars. Give us a touch. What are they trying with all those things? The headers are gone. Nobody's doing headers anymore. But
Well, I mean, everybody's trying something, right? Like, they have rules. The rules are in black and white. There are some things that it's just obvious ignoring of the rules and doing whatever you want, right? I think we've seen some instances on that, right?
yeah,
But everybody's trying to gain an advantage on, because if Kade has enough money, he can buy the same stuff I have. I can buy the same stuff he has, right? So then it's your team, your cars, and whatever in the rule book, whatever area that's not spelled out, you try to find an advantage. And that's what they were doing. some sanctioning bodies didn't like it and decided that they needed to amend the rules.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Well, I don't.
That's the way I look at it.
I mean, listen to the
Well,
Dale Jr.
yeah.
download. They talk about
That's
that
all
stuff
he
all the
says.
time.
Well,
Yeah.
That's all he said.
I think there's two different things between actual cheating, like blatant cheating,
Yeah.
and actual just trying
Getting in the gray area.
something that's not spelled out.
Look
right?
in between
Like,
the rule books. Yeah.
I mean, we there was wings, right? Like
Yeah.
the whole Pennsylvania
Top
wing
yeah,
deal,
oh my
right?
gosh,
Like,
yeah. Larson brings out one silver top wing, and everybody loses their
I
mind.
feel like you do see a lot more guys changing wings now.
Yeah.
Linton Jeffrey, yep. I saw Emerson. Jackson.
we spent 3 weeks with Dustin changing wings after qualifying, and there wasn't a single thing different between the wings. We just thought we'd like kind of mess around with everybody. Didn't
should-
help our qualifying
You
at all,
should have
but
made
like,
it a bright neon. top
hey,
wing. That's speaking of changing things up on the wraps. You do wraps, which is awesome. Or paint schemes. Vandervoort's scheme looks awesome. I really like it. I meant
Thank
it when
you.
I said the orange is great. What are you cooking up for nationals?
Hmm.
Because Josh and I need some inspiration because we're working on Kade's 360.
We've had some chrome, we've had some neon. What are we going to get this year?
the beach. Didn't Garner run like a
Yep, that
palm?
was, that was
Yeah.
the chrome one I
Yep.
was talking
yeah,
about.
that was chrome, right? Like it's really weird because like I thought about that and we did a printed chrome, right? And
Yeah.
everybody else did chrome.
Yeah.
But like we actually printed chrome with the design into chrome, and it was just surprising how many chrome cars showed up that
Yeah.
year, right? Like it's kind of like
Once they win it, that's what we were thinking. I'm like, what has won in the past?
Well, so-
Sheldon's chrome cars usually win.
yeah. So it'll be interesting, right? Like I sponsored that trophy.
Yep.
I'm just trying to win my trophy.
I did like Kaleb's last year, the black and yellow.
The black and yellow,
That
yeah,
was,
that was-
Honestly,
phenomenal.
Dustin's looks great. It's very simple, but it has the perfect amount of purple on it.
What
like that.
What was the background behind that? Because that was the same paint scheme Wimmer won your first ever race in. Was there a background to that black and yellow car? Was it a throwback?
Well, no. So what had kind of happened is we had the big money paying 360 show,
Uh-oh.
and Wimmer had a brand new Nationals car that we absolutely tore down the fence and destroyed, and then 20 minutes later, JJ Hickle got a little sideways and Kaleb cleaned him out and destroyed another race car, all within same corner,
And then the
within,
pocketbooks were empty.
within
and-
15
fun being an
minutes
owner.
of each other. And I had a brand new car sitting there that needed to be built, and I'm like, well, maybe I'll do that. And then I'm like, well, this yellow car is sitting over there, and I think there's a bunch of yelling going on. Someone's a son of a...
They were yelling at Charlie. Imagine
No.
that.
So we had the yellow car that was Brandon's Nationals car, the 17W car from the year before.
Yep.
Same car that he had won East Moline, and I'm just like, it's been a really good car for us. So I was like, let's
Got the
just
moths making an appearance
That was a
here,
June
too.
bug.
Sorry.
let's rip it,
Something.
right? Like,
Huge, yeah.
so that's how. And because the frame was yellow, it's like, oh,
It worked.
my options are kind of limited here, right? Like,
Orange, yeah. No, that's
So-
cool. That's awesome.
I still think my favorite scheme of yours was the all black one that had like just the
a little bit of purple, the one you couldn't see.
Yeah.
The one, well, as you watch it come through the corner from down here, it'd go in the lights, and you could see it perfectly, and then it'd disappear. And I enjoyed it. It wasn't.
it
I
was
mean,
awesome.
When I do cars, it's not for anybody else. It's for me. So I could really
Then you had
care less if the scorers can see it.
I still think the funniest thing was the white. I think it was the electrical tape you had the first night, and then you're like, yeah, I got to print a sticker.
So I had actually printed an outline for it because I knew they were going to complain, right? Because that's what hand scorers do. They complain. And so I put that on, and then Skip came back down and says, we still can't see it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, Skip, leave me alone. Right? Like, I don't want to talk about it. So I duct tape and cut it out to make it the shape of the number, and everybody was happy,
Creative.
but me.
But you. Having so many cars, does it get too much ever?
I think you have 9 or 10.
I
Right now.
think it gets too much for my guys. They kind of stress out a little bit because I like changing things, and
Yeah.
They
Are
never-
you are you the crew chief then, or
so with Kaleb this year, Dylan Sampson, he's been with Kaleb for a long time. He took on mainly like the car chief role. Between him and Billy, and me and DMJ at the shop, we talk about a lot of things. Dennis at the shop, he's been a lot of big help. A lot of our success this year is because of him. I actually have a big stack of cash in my back pocket for him. That was supposed to be his percentage of race winnings, and he didn't show up tonight. But I think he's spending time with his family.
I mean, if you want to
which
give
is
it
good,
away,
right?
I mean, you know.
You a couple times this year, you've kind of gone everywhere. You went with Dylan Norris up to Pennsylvania. We'll talk about that in a second. But you went down to Texas. I think it was on a Thursday night with Danny Sams, and filled in for him. Kind of explain how that scenario kind of came about, and what was or how'd you get to know Danny Sams?
Last year, season championship night, Brandon turned the 360 upside down with a little bit of help from Levitt. Hi, Ryan. He hurt his neck a little bit. So our plan was to take Brandon to Lake of the Ozarks for a 2-day Power Eye show. And so I started to think about finding a fill-in at that time, and never even met Danny, but I called him. I knew he had some speed, so I called him to see if he'd run my car, and he came down. We ran Lake of the Ozarks. We were pretty quick. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out.
I was going to say,
The
was
best.
it an engine issue or what?
Oh no,
was
he
it a
pounded
wreck?
the wall.
Oh yeah,
he pounded the wall.
and it was early, wasn't it? It was like the heat race.
It was feature time.
Oh,
So we had made it through. He was actually running second at the time. The leader anybody that's been to the lake knows that turn 2 can be a little sketchy sometimes with the curb, and the leader kind of got over it, and Danny just feathered it a little bit to turn it down to try to drive underneath him, because he was going to pass him at some point. And it just kind of, when he lifted a little bit, the cushion ate him up, and it just kind of caught the right rear and hit the front. And when it did, it knocked the K-bar out of it and broke the car. So we went bowling the next day.
So then what led to Texas?
I've been talking with Danny for a while. He was looking for a fill-in crew chief. His grandfather was pretty sick. Unfortunately, his grandfather ended up passing away, but his dad was spending time was with family in Florida, and he didn't have a crew chief for Texarkana and Texas that week. And I happened to be in Dallas for work, and he asked me if I would help, and so I decided to go help. Texarkana got rained out. We ran Thursday night at Texas. I think then he ran Saturday. I had to fly back, obviously, to be here, but yeah, he's a good, young, talented driver. I think he's got a big future ahead of him.
And then talk about PA. Unfortunately, it ended on the front stretch of the first heat, and something that really didn't even feel like Dylan's fault. But was it hard to watch that and then think, maybe I shouldn't be coming out to PA? Or, that was a big step for you guys to go out there.
Well, yeah, Dylan helped us last year when we took Kaleb out east. Took care of him, and his dad took care of the car, did some maintenance stuff for us while we all had our regular jobs. So I was trying to work on some things. I've actually won that race car at the Knoxville banquet. Thank you, Knoxville banquet, for everything Knoxville does. And I decided I'd put that car together for him. It's a beautiful race car. Unfortunately, he just kind of got caught up on the start there at Lincoln and wrecked the car, broke the frame. I think Flea's got that fixed now. I got to go send someone to Springfield to pick that up. After we get it, then we'll start working on our plan to figure out where we're going to go from there with Dylan.
Do you ever want to branch out even more, or like
I was going to
run more regionally,
do you
nationally
ever see
at some
yourself
point?
not having a car at Knoxville on a weekly basis?
Knoxville was always my home growing up. I love this place. I feel like I need to support it. I think that we'll eventually do something big on some type of tour, and I probably won't have a car that year, but I don't think I've told many people that I feel like I'm going to be probably the stepping stone for guys, right? Like I'll be the guy that they run here in Huset and Lake and Canton, Illinois, and all these places and build their skills up, and then somebody else is going to come get them, right? Like that's the way I see it probably for most of my career as a car owner, and I'm happy with it. I'm content with that.
I mean, I know you get shit on Twitter because you aren't afraid to mix it up. But honestly, the sport needs guys like you, because without car owners that are willing to stick their neck out for young guys that need experience and stuff,
I think the problem with like Twitter and Facebook and everything like that is people think that shit's the real life, and it's really not, right? Like they get so serious about it, and I'm just there to just poke them and go,
stir in the pot.
Yep.
Yeah, and a lot of people know that I don't ever use my Twitter, and that's half the reason, because it costs $0 and takes no common sense to put that shit on the internet.
Yep, pretty much.
And if like that's part of why we've talked about wanting to do this is get a little peek into what goes on in here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit that goes on in the middle of the night, and not even before you get to the track too.
I
And
agree.
it's very easy to fire stuff off, and just because you're not informed. So hopefully this, kind of gives a peek behind the curtain a little bit, and might make some people think twice before judging others.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not.
No, they're gonna judge you.
I wanted to touch real quick. You were talking about touring series. As an owner, we got Outlaws and we got High Limit, and they're the two big ones. What do you look at sometimes? And whether that be saying, let's go run High Limit this week or let's go run Outlaws, are you just looking at money, or are you looking at how it's run, who it's run by, all these other factors? And how will that play into eventually if you do go national tour?
Right now, we're just looking to see what fits our schedule the best to race. I mean, if that's a Friday night at Jacksonville, Illinois for a non-sanctioned show, that's what it is, right? Right now, we're trying to get Kaleb as many laps as possible, and like I always say, little plastic trophies. That's what we're after, right? Like we're definitely not making money.
Right.
It's about fun and where you go with that, right? And the trophies are just a way to remember all the fun you had.
Those Huset ones are not little plastic ones.
I was going to say,
those things are beasts.
I agree. I think I got Jansen Fabrication right now working on some type of shelf or something, because right now they're sitting on an ice machine in the shop, and I need either a bigger ice machine or we need somewhere to put them. So
it's a good problem.
It's a very good problem.
Well, at the rate he's going, you're going to need to build one as tall as that fence over there.
Yeah.
I think Kaleb. So the agreement I always have with every driver that drives my car is, I get the trophy, we'll get a duplicate made for you, right? Like that's just how it's going to work. And we've had duplicates made for Kaleb, and I think he's going to have to put a wing on his house because he doesn't have enough room.
No, we've seen his room. He doesn't have any room. I lost what I was going to say.
Good job.
Yep.
It happens.
We were talking about Silver Crown cars.
Oh, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Okay.
I was literally on it. You were on.
I got you.
You were talking with Wade, and you brought up Silver Crown, and I think you said something like along the lines of a Sunday afternoon in September, 100 laps. Are you going to be the lead to try to get a Silver Crown race at Knoxville? Because I've had people literally come up to me, Dennis, this week, and I think maybe I tweeted something about it, just saying, "Hey, Dennis mentioned this. It was cool."
The Moz were tweeting
like,
about it too.
and they were like, "Really? Like, we need Silver Crown race."
So I'm old enough to remember. I know the three of you probably aren't, but we used to have a Silver Crown race here.
I think they ran 3 of them, 3 or 2.
At least two in a row, right? I think one year it rained so much that we actually pitted in the barns because the infield it was before the concrete. The infield was so wet that we had to. I think actually it was the same weekend as the Masters Classic, and I think Cliff Woodward set the track record for 360s at the Masters Classic that year. That's how juiced up the track was. But Silver Crown cars are awesome. There's just something about the 100-lap race. It's about strategy and saving tires and working towards things, right? Like you can run it as a day show, because this is what it's going to look like. Dry slick.
Yeah.
You give them a curb. There'll be guys that'll run the curb. There'll be guys on the bottom. It'll put on a good show. Obviously, it's not for everybody. There's a lot of just wing fans here in Central Iowa, but I think if you did a Silver Crown race, you wouldn't have to do it every year. But if you did it like every 5 years, it would be something that would draw people to come see.
Make it an event.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because I was happy. The crowd tonight I thought was pretty damn good. And
I get distracted sometimes, and I don't pay attention to that. I think I should pay more attention to how many people are in the stands.
I do the same thing.
It's hard because guys will start talking about it, and I'm like, I got no idea.
I think maybe you mentioned it with Wade. Do you think the season should be longer here in Knoxville? Should we go deeper into September? Maybe start later in May.
I think we should start May 1st or whatever the first Saturday is in May. Maybe late April, depending on where that falls on the calendar.
We've gotten lucky. We got really lucky this year with April.
We have, but
it's cold.
It is cold.
Yeah.
That's hard on equipment.
Yeah.
I would like to see us go into September.
I would too.
I know I know there's a lot of talk about between high school football and college football and some of that. I think there's some ways around that, but I'd like to see the season go a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think we all agree there. Because it sucks because you talk about people do need to show up. You see dirt tracks closing down all over the country, and we're very fortunate for what we have here.
I watched Huset on Sunday night in September. I'm like, well, man, I wish we were out there.
Got some major FOMO going on.
Yeah, and Skagit goes late. It's like,
yeah, and I'd be interested to see like if we did it one time, even if you did just like run it 2 weeks later, see what the crowd attendance is versus those really cold nights in April.
That's a good point.
It seemed like it was pretty thin.
In the gap, it's Nationals, week off, championship night.
Yeah,
like that's always been different to me.
Yeah.
And so again, I'm old enough to remember we actually there used to be a late September Outlaw show here.
I do remember that.
I think maybe it was even middle of the week stuff, right? Like we used to have an Outlaw show, I think, during the fair week too, right? Like we used to have some bigger shows that happened at different times, and I think some of the midweek stuff would be good for streaming stuff, right? Because
I like it.
You're the only TV show in town, right?
It's like about like Houston's on a Sunday.
You're absolutely correct.
It'll probably be really tough, but a high limit show here would be fun. Like a midweek high limit deal would be cool. I don't know if the feasibility of that ever happening.
I wouldn't count your stars on it. I don't think it's gonna happen, but no, that's cool.
What you got, Kade? You said you were going to be firing some good ones off.
Come on, Kade.
Well, we kind of already burnt through all the good ones.
Should we quick fire really just one question answer? Why is the Lee Big Ten so fast? What are they doing? The driver's good, I can tell you that.
The driver's good, but I think you saw it with even Scott behind the wheel. It's a fast race car. They have some things figured out, and Ryan's starting to put it all together, especially on the big trucks.
Yeah,
he's always been pretty damn good at Husets and some of the other smaller stuff. But I think with Shane and those guys, he's finally starting to figure out this place, because I know that this was a demon for him, and he really, really struggled at it. So it's always good to see young kids grow.
Go ahead.
They proved it last night. They had the same speed they did tonight with the 360 like that.
That thing was
pretty impressive.
And he held off Austin twice, like back-to-back nights too. Like he showed himself, and then he just took off.
3 straight second-place finishes for Austin. So
he'll figure it out.
Yeah, you were talking about Scott. We were talking about it last week. Scott had a little bit of a kerfuffle with Sam Havertine Jr. You were tweeting about, because all I'm doing, Dennis, is I'm thinking back through your tweets. I'm like, what is Dennis tweeting about? Tell me about. So you had your opinion. If drivers are going to fight, what are they going to do? Like, keep crew members out? What do you think on the whole
absolutely. I mean, obviously, your driver and your crew guys, they're all your friends and your buddies and everything else, but you kind of got to let that take its place. It's not my job to stand up for Kaleb or to go fight somebody for Kaleb. That's not my place. If I'm mad enough and I want to fight somebody, I need to go find the other car owner, right? That's what you need to do, right? Like, that's not your place. Let the drivers solve that. If they want to argue and bicker or fight or whatever it is, they need to solve that. Because there's nothing a car owner can do to fix that. I think what happened there, I mean, I see it a lot as a racing deal, right? Like, I feel that everybody wants that spot, right? Those are 2 professional race car drivers. They're racing for a living. They're racing for money.
Yeah.
Saw it tonight.
Turn
3.
We did, yeah, that's right.
We did see it tonight. Just right, like somebody's trying to go for that spot. Somebody's trying to protect that spot, and sometimes someone's not going to lift, right? Like we see that move a lot, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes maybe you have to do that. Maybe you have to stick it in there. Maybe push the envelope so that way next time that guy doesn't treat you the same way. Because if you lift every time he goes, he's going to do it.
They're going to use you
time.
out. Yeah. and shit's moving fast out there
I
too.
mean,
So like
yeah,
it's that quick, and you're. Tumbling.
I don't think what happened will change the way that Scott races. I don't think it'll change the way that Sam races.
No.
They're gonna run as hard as they can.
And I thought they had a pretty fair conversation on the drivers project about it too. I don't know if you had a chance to listen to that yet.
I did not get a chance to see that yet.
Yeah,
Well-
Sam talked about, and I've raced at Cameron before, and he's definitely not wrong. Like, the banking is so high
You
that
can't see.
you can't see it.
Yeah.
And
you
Sam
can't.
basically said, like, I know it looked like I tried to monster truck him, but I didn't see him until it was like he was at my right foot.
And why would you try to do that if you're Sam
Yeah.
on the lap 1 too?
It was
People don't understand the way that place races, right?
Mhm.
Someone wanted to argue that point with me, and I'm just like, you just can't see, right? With the way the sideboards are, the
Right.
banking, it's not visible, right? Like,
And even this place is kind of tough sometimes. You get the wing back in a certain spot, and you can't see shit.
Like, I know it's a video game, but shit, like if anybody is at home, jump in iRacing and see, like, you cannot see out the right
Yeah,
side. And imagine that being in real life and going 100 and whatever you're doing around here.
absolutely.
Oh, I know you can't see on the right side.
Yeah, I've seen it plenty of times. You've been tumbling over there. I digress.
Kind of wrapping us up here, Dennis. What do you got anything in the works here in 2025 that not many people have heard about, or you just going to kind of keep rolling every single week with what you kind of got?
Well, Tyler Swank's back in my shop here, I think, for the next week or so. Kind of letting him tinker with a car. It may come out next week. Got to find a driver first, but
I know a guy.
I thought you had a 410 already.
Not anymore.
See, I learned something today.
Oh my! Breaking
We
news.
break news here. That's what we
Breaking
do.
news.
Well, I
We'll
think
sign the contract right here.
Yep.
the fact that I brought a cooler full of beer with me on the racetrack should have solidified
Got a
that.
napkin
Well,
in there. We can write something.
I guess I don't pay attention to a lot of other things, but I think we have maybe something nailed down, but we'll just kind of leave that for a surprise for next week. Surprise entry, right? Like,
That's awesome.
There you go.
The 37th DGRD card
Yeah.
coming up next week.
yeah, it'll be a different letter, I think, but we kind of change the letters every time someone gets in one.
Oh, I love it.
We're going to do that later in the year. I think we're going to put Jack Wagner in the car for a night. He actually won the mower race tonight
Nice.
in Peoria, Illinois, I think. So that was his first
Awesome.
410 win. So that's big for him, I think. Dylan Bloomfield is out here working in the shop. Really like him. He's a good young up and comer. I mean, he ran pretty good. I know last night I think he went from like 16th to 4th or something at Placerville, and don't know where he ended up yet tonight. There's a lot of talent out there, and guys just need chances. That's all I'm trying to do is just try to figure that out and see who's going to fit best, right? Like,
Yeah.
There's a cycle. I tell Kaleb this all the time. There's always a cycle in racing, right? Like, someone's going to come drive for me, and I'm eventually going to fire them, right? Or they're going to quit on their own, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's just how that works.
Nothing lasts forever.
Absolutely. So as long as, right, like me and Kaleb were kind of friends before, as long as we can maintain that relationship afterwards, we'll be okay.
Well, it's going pretty well. Hopefully, you guys can
Yeah.
keep it rolling.
Absolutely. Dennis, we appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on. People will be talking about this. I know
hope
they
so.
will. And we'll have to get you back on again here maybe at the end of the year.
We can maybe do that. Like, say hi to Jason Reed. I didn't say anything too bad.
Hopefully, this turns out well. This is the first time we've done this, and let us know, comment, and maybe this will be a new thing that we do.
And for the love of God, please give Blake some trivia.
Yes,
Please.
please.
Back to the studio.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Come on.
Thanks, Blake. We're back in the studio here to close everything out. It was great talking to Dennis. That was a really fun conversation. It was really fun doing it in person and at the track. I posted about it. I think we're probably going to try to do that a lot more often. We're definitely doing it at the Knoxville Nationals. So that was a little sneak preview of some of the Nationals content that we're going to be putting out here. Great show, long show though, boys. We got to trim this stuff down maybe a little bit more in the future.
No.
But yeah, we
No, we don't.
No chance.
It's fun talking racing with you guys.
It is.
Next up in Knoxville, though, guys, we've got Vermeer Night on Saturday, June 7th. So make sure you get your butts there. just the normal deal that we got. Should have pro sprints, 360s, and 410s.
And hopefully they race those tractors around the track like they did last year. They raced those combines.
Hopefully not because they're farming the track a lot. Hopefully it's just for a little fun. But yeah, make sure, like I said in the beginning, everybody, if you're not following us on the socials, make sure you do that. We're trying to post a little bit more throughout the night during the races. So yeah, at Knoxville Knights on Facebook and Instagram, at Knoxville Knights with no O on Twitter, and then look up Knoxville Knights on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And then follow us. Kade tweets about once every couple months. He's at Kade Higday.
I'm trying to get
Josh
better.
We're getting there. Not mid-season form
I'm
yet.
starting to use it now.
I don't know if that's good or bad for you. I mean, there's a lot of junk on there. We talked about that.
We did.
I'm at Josh_Gerlach and Blake's at Blake_Walker8. We appreciate you guys listening. Again, give us some 5 stars. We've seen a few of those come in. We want to see a lot more. But until next week, guys, we will see you on Monday.